I've done a number of speaking engagements in the past, and some people would approach me and say, "Hey, Steve, you know what? Maybe you should write a book." And I'd be like, "Yeah, for sure." And then that would immediately go to the back burner. But in life, we have to expect the unexpected. As you know, the story starts off with me moving to Jane and Finch, and I had this idyllic view of what the community was going to be like when I first moved there as a child. But clearly, that all changed, and it was just one obstacle and one challenge after another. And so I often say, especially when I do speaking engagements, that it's challenges and obstacles are inevitable, but it's how we respond to those challenges and obstacles that determines our future and our legacy. And so that's what the book is about. It's about showing people an authentic side of myself, and that I didn't wake up and become a lawyer. I didn't wake up and become a deputy mayor, that there was a journey, albeit a rough one, but there was a journey that led me to this path.
Welcome everyone to our channel, Meta Transitions. I am your host, Tricia K. Williams, and I just want to thank you for being here. Just to let you know, upcoming, we have guests that are going to share their transition stories with you, talk a bit about their lives, and also, share tips that are going to help you with your transition stories. Stay tuned. Well, welcome everyone to another episode of Meta Transitions. Today we have with us Steve Anderson. If you remember from seasons past, Steve came and talked to us about his journey becoming a deputy mayor. And now he's here to give us a little bit more details into his new book that he just wrote, Driven to Succeed. Thank you for being here, Steve.
Thanks for having me, Tricia. I'm looking forward to the conversation.
Yes, definitely. All right. Well, tell us a little bit about this journey, becoming an author, writing a book. What was that like?
First and foremost, I would say surprising. I never envisioned myself being an author or thought that this was in my wheelhouse. I've done a number of speaking engagements in the past, and some people would approach me and say, "Hey, Steve, you know what? Maybe you should write a book." And I'd be like, "Yeah, for sure." And then that would immediately go to the back burner. But in life, we have to expect the unexpected, just like the pandemic, right? And a lot of things that we thought we wanted to do, we could do, we're going to do, were sort of shelved. Now we were forced to examine other opportunities and other priorities. And so that's what it came about. The process of writing the book was as a result of the pandemic, and thinking to myself, instead of focusing on the negatives of the pandemic, here was an opportunity for me to utilize the downtime, if I may put it that way, and pursue writing this book.
Wonderful. So turning something that could be disappointment or, seen as negative, you turned it into a positive and started to do something you thought you'd never do.
Right. And that's really the theme of the entire book, right? It's about overcoming challenges and obstacles, right? It's not like, as you know, the story starts off with me moving to Jane and Finch, and I had this idyllic view of what the community was going to be like when I first moved there as a child. But clearly that all changed, and it was just one obstacle and one challenge after another. And so I often say, especially when I do speaking engagements, that it's challenges and obstacles are inevitable, regardless of whether you grew up in Jane and Finch or anywhere, some area in BC or otherwise, anywhere in the world. But it's how we respond to those challenges and obstacles that determines our future and our legacy. And so that's what the book is about. It's about showing people an authentic side of myself, and that I didn't wake up and become a lawyer. I didn't wake up and become a deputy mayor, that there was a journey, albeit a rough one, but there was a journey that led me to this path.
Yes, definitely. And that journey is so important. And I noticed that in the book, there's a chapter that specifically talks about this idea of becoming an adult. So the chapter 5, the title is Crash Course on Adulthood and Family Responsibilities. Now, you said crash course, so tell us a little bit about what that means.
Yeah, well, I mean, look, I was under the comforts of home. You know what I mean, Tricia? Your family's responsible when you're growing up for taking care of everything. But we take for granted somebody is responsible for actually paying the light bill. Folding our laundry, the food is always prepared, et cetera, et cetera. And so, my contributions at the home at the time were little. And then all of a sudden, I'm now away at university, first year on campus, away from those comforts. And so I had to learn, as I put there, a crash course, and what it meant to be responsible for myself and the things that I needed in order to survive that again were easily provided for me before moving to Windsor. So the chapter speaks about that adjustment, and then, as you know, the other adjustment in being responsible for other people. As you know, I had 2 children while I was in university, so certainly that was a challenge, but one that we got through together.
Yes, definitely. So, this idea of transitioning and talking about embracing, difficulties and challenges along the way and expecting them in a sense to happen, like expecting that you're going to have setbacks, and then now being thrusted into this position where you have to, become an adult overnight. Right. And learning to do things on your own, like wash your own dishes and cook your own food and, wash your own laundry. Right. And I could see how that could be challenging, but I could see how it also prepared you for fatherhood as well.
Well, it's challenging certainly for those who weren't doing it. Maybe those who were more independent than me at that age. As you say that, washing laundry and cooking. Oftentimes, I would spend maybe the majority of my time on the phone, calling home and saying, "Hey, Mom, can I put whites and colors together in the laundry? What should I be doing? Should I put, how much salt should I put in the rice when I'm cooking it?" And so these were the things that I was doing, and whether or not I should have learned those skills before I got to university, the reality is I didn't. And so, as you mentioned, it was a crash course, not only for me, but you're right. These were also things that I had to take into being responsible for 2 young children as well.
Yes, definitely. Definitely. All right, Steve, I'm going to give this like an open sort of opportunity now to share anything from the book that you think that people would need to know, or that would help people to be like, you know what, I'm going to get that book because I think that this is something that's going to be important to me. What would you say?
I'd say first and foremost, we all could benefit from a first dose and a second dose and even a booster shot of hope and inspiration. Right? The only side effect is greatness when you're inspired to do greatness. And so if you're in a bit of a rut, or you're a young person and as a result of the pandemic, for example, you're thinking, geez, you know what? I had all these plans. I had a vision of where my life was going to go. And now I'm in a period of flux and uncertainty, and I'm not really sure. And I'm trying to take a step forward, but it seems like every time I take a step forward, I'm taking maybe 3 or 4 back. Is success really for me? Is it really around the corner? Am I doomed to be mediocre? And I say to you that if you stay the course, if you persevere, and if you're determined enough, that even in the face of difficulties and challenges, you could overcome. I often say that we could find ourselves in difficult situations. It doesn't mean that we have to stay in them, right? And first, you have to start with that mindset that, you know what, I need to overcome, and I will overcome. So if you're looking for that boost, I invite you to go to my website at www.driventossucceed.ca and grab yourself a copy of the book and be inspired.
Wonderful. Wonderful. All right. So tips for authors maybe never expected that they would be authors, or even people planning to write a book. What are some tips that you would give them?
It's kind of weird that I'm being asked this question as I'm some sort of veteran. This is, I guess, just put out a book and it's just like, what am I going to tell other people? Well, you know what? Here's what I'll say. If you're looking to write an autobiography, writing a book is one thing, but when you're writing an autobiography, it's another, because it's a total different journey. When you're writing about somebody else, you're sort of free because you're not touching on the inner core of your being. Whether it's make-believe or you're speaking about somebody else's life, that's an easier path. But when you're writing an autobiography, I would say to folks, be prepared to go on a roller coaster ride as you revisit your life. Because oftentimes we experience things, and for one reason or the other, maybe we forget, or we intentionally bury things in our past because we want to move forward, or now we've established ourselves and a reputation in our community. And the last thing we want to do is remind people when I was X or Y when I was 15 or 16. And so if you're doing this autobiography, I would say to you, if you are intending to reach people, if you want your message to resonate with people, you have to scratch below the surface. If I had simply just wrote in my book, Driven to Succeed, how life is wonderful being a lawyer, how life is wonderful for being a deputy mayor, and I have a nice car, and I live in a nice house. That maybe would have reached a small percentage of people, but it completely would have been over the heads of many. And what I found based on the feedback, Tricia, in being authentic, being vulnerable, a lot of people are reaching out to me to say, Steve, I see myself in some part of your story. That is me in a part of your story. I'm so inspired, and I want my children to see that you could experience these kinds of things or something similar, but yet there's a bright outcome for you. So that's what I would say to young writers. You know what, if it's in your mind, do it, and get out of your comfort zone. And the last thing I'll say is to ponder this thought: greatness is seldom achieved in one's comfort zone.
I love that. I love that. You need to dig deeper, right? And do it. If it's in your mind, you can do it, right? And I just love the message that you're giving there. We can all, dig a little deeper and put something out there so that the world can be inspired, for sure. Just have to get out of our comfort zone.
That's it. That's it.
Thank you so much, Steve, for being here with us. We will be putting the details of Steve's book in the description below. Also, Steve, I guess you could tell us where we can find your book.
Yeah, so again, you could go to my website at www.driventosucceed.ca. You could go directly to Amazon if you wish, but I prefer that you go to the website because you'll learn a little bit more about myself. There's also merchandise where you get your Driven to Succeed t-shirt, your hoodie, your cap. As we talked about, it's a mindset. And so you want to be surrounded in that aura of positivity. If you are local and you're living in Dufferin County, you could go to Booklore in Orangeville, grab yourself a copy of the book there. The Shelburne Public Library is also selling copies. But again, you could go to our website or directly to Amazon and purchase one there.
Wonderful. All right. So we will be putting those details in the description box below. So go and grab a copy of Steve's book. Thank you for being here. Until next time, take care.
Well, thank you for watching. We really appreciate that you made it all the way to the end. Please like this video and subscribe. Also, hit that notification bell if you would like to watch new videos that we publish. There might be friends and family that you know who might benefit from the tips that were shared. Just share it with them and watch another video. Thank you so much.